Have you ever wondered what happens when kindness changes everything? Today's story is about a poor single father who missed the most important job interview of his life, all because he chose to help a stranger. But who that stranger was, and what she did next, will completely change his world. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, share this video, and drop a comment to let us know your thoughts. Let's get started. David had always known life would be a constant struggle, but he never imagined how heavy that struggle could feel until he became a single father. The world had a way of testing him relentlessly, and yet, he carried on with determination, driven by the love he had for his daughter, Emma. Every morning, he would wake before the sun rose, preparing breakfast for Emma, making sure she had everything she needed before school, and then heading out to work wherever he could find it. Some days, it was cleaning offices, other days delivering packages, and sometimes fixing small things for neighbors who could barely pay him. Money was scarce, but his heart was abundant, filled with hope that one day, all his sacrifices would bear fruit. On this particular morning, David's routine felt heavier than usual, not because he was tired, but because he had an opportunity he had been waiting for, a job interview at a respected company. He had invested weeks preparing, researching the company, practicing his answers in front of the mirror, and even buying a crisp new shirt to make the best impression possible. It was a chance not just to earn a living, but to secure a future for Emma that was stable, safe, and full of possibilities he had never dared to dream of before. The thought of that opportunity made his chest tighten with a mix of excitement and anxiety, the kind that only comes when something you truly desire is within reach yet feels fragile enough to slip away. As David walked toward the office building, the streets were already alive with the hum of morning traffic. Cars honked, pedestrians hurried by, and the scent of freshly baked bread from a nearby bakery mixed with the sharpness of exhaust fumes. He checked his watch repeatedly, calculating every second, knowing that being late could cost him everything he had worked toward. Just a few blocks away, a sudden commotion caught his attention. A sleek, expensive car had swerved dangerously close to the curb, and inside, a woman appeared to be struggling to exit. Her high heels were tangled, her designer dress restricted her movements, and she seemed panicked, glancing around helplessly. For a brief moment, David felt the tug of urgency for his interview, but something inside him could not ignore the woman's plight. Without a second thought, he ran toward her, offering his hand with a calmness that masked the rising panic about the minutes slipping away. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice firm yet gentle. She looked up at him, startled by his sudden presence, and her eyes widened in surprise. I think so. I just can't get out," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. David smiled reassuringly, steadying her as he helped her out of the car, making sure she didn't stumble. "I'm happy to help. Just glad you're safe," he said, glancing briefly at his watch and realizing the precious time that had already vanished. The woman straightened herself, adjusting her outfit and brushing off the embarrassment from the near fall. "Thank you," she said, her tone soft but sincere, almost as if she were surprised that anyone would stop to help her without hesitation. David nodded, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and anxiety as he remembered his own pressing schedule. "I should get going," he muttered. "I have an interview I can't miss." The woman's eyes softened, as if she understood the dilemma he was facing. "You didn't hesitate to help someone you barely know, even knowing it might cost you," she observed. "That says a lot about you." David felt a pang of self-consciousness but also a strange warmth. "I couldn't just leave you there," he said. It was the right thing to do. Before he could linger, he turned and hurried toward his destination, weaving through traffic and dodging obstacles in a desperate attempt to arrive on time. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. When David finally reached the office building, his heart sank. The doors were closed, and the receptionist shook her head apologetically. "I'm sorry, sir. The interview started 10 minutes ago. We've already moved on to the next candidate." David felt the crushing weight of disappointment settle over him like a heavy fog. All the preparation, the rehearsals, the hope he had nurtured, it was gone, swallowed by a few stolen minutes. He sank into a chair outside the building, staring blankly at the ground, unable to shake the feeling that his life was slipping through his fingers. The future he had imagined for Emma seemed uncertain again, and for the first time that morning, he allowed himself to feel the depth of his despair. As he sat there, Trying to gather the shattered pieces of his composure, he didn't notice the woman from the car watching him from across the street. Isabella, as he would later learn her name to be, had followed him quietly, curious about the man who had chosen kindness over ambition. There was something in the way he carried himself, the quiet dignity even in defeat, that caught her attention. She crossed the street, approaching him with a calm but deliberate stride. "Excuse me," she called softly, breaking through his reverie. David looked up, startled, unsure of what to expect next. "Yes?" he asked cautiously. Isabella smiled, a smile that seemed to carry understanding and an unspoken promise of something unexpected. "I saw what you did," she began. "You missed something important for a complete stranger. Most people wouldn't have done that." David blinked, uncertain of how to respond. I didn't think. He stammered, the words trailing off. "You did what was right, even when it cost you," Isabella continued, her voice gentle. "That's rare. That's invaluable." He looked at her skeptically, a mixture of confusion and disbelief in his eyes. "Why are you telling me this? You barely know me," he said, the doubt in his voice almost palpable. Isabella extended her hand, handing him a card with an air of quiet authority. "Because I want to help you," she said simply. "Not because of your skills or your resume, but because of who you are. You helped me when I needed it most, and I believe that kind of character should be rewarded." David stared at the card, feeling a swirl of emotions, hope, skepticism, and cautious excitement. This was a world he had never imagined stepping into, yet here he was, holding the key to an unexpected opportunity. The next day, despite lingering doubts, David dialed the number on the card. Isabella's voice greeted him warmly, and she invited him to meet her at her office. Nervously, he entered a sleek, modern building that exuded wealth and sophistication. Isabella welcomed him with the same calm, confident energy he had noticed before. "David," she said, "I want to give you an opportunity. Not because of your experience, but because of your heart. You chose empathy over convenience, and that speaks louder than any resume." David, still unsure of what to expect, listened as she explained that she was a successful entrepreneur overseeing multiple companies. She was searching for someone she could trust, someone with integrity, dedication, and empathy, qualities she recognized in him through a single act of kindness. The offer was more than just a job, it was a chance to transform his life and secure the future of the one person he loved most, his daughter. David felt a rush of emotions, gratitude, disbelief, and hope intertwining in his chest. He accepted the position, understanding that sometimes life rewards those who act with integrity, even when it seems inconvenient. As he left Isabella's office that day, he realized that missing the interview